So now you may be asking yourself, what is this underlying cause? What are these functional changes that happen in the body? Well, let me share those with you. What I've found over the years is there are three very basic reasons that the body breaks down. Now, these things may get complicated as they progress from a symptomatic aspect, but realistically, there are only three major areas that the body is going to break down in. One will be physical. When we have physical functional changes in the body, we can have problems with the nervous system. This is very much like what I shared with you on my own personal story with the asthma. As we had the compressed nerves in the spine, as I showed you how the spine gets out of position here. As the nerves get pinched, it physically shuts down the signal going out to the body. And as you can see on this chart, you have nerves that go to various organs through the body. In fact, every organ has a nerve that supplies it, just like every muscle has a nerve that supplies it. If you were to affect the nerves going to the stomach, it's quite possible you could have heartburn or acid reflux or indigestion. If you affected the nerves going to the pancreas, you could see blood sugar changes. If you affected the nerves going to the sinuses, you might have some sinus and allergy changes as a result. Your body may not respond to allergens very well. If this problem exists, the simple answer to this is to realign that position of the vertebra, freeing up the nerve so the signal can get out to the body. When that happens, we've restored the communication from the brain to the body, things will work again. Now, there are steps that have to be done to get that to stay. Chiropractic can be done very much like medicine in that it can be a short-term solution. Adjustments, as you may have experienced, bring about a nice relief. But if you never do anything to truly change the position of it long-term, you're going to see that symptom return. So that's not what we're looking for in a true functional change. We're looking to reestablish the position and the stability so the problem does cease, so we have an end point. Now, the other two areas that I find are significant in this come from stress, and it creates hormone functional changes in the body or functional hormone changes in the body. For instance, your adrenal glands. I'll give you a quick example of this. When you think of stress, get the idea of adrenaline. You're on a roller coaster. Things get exciting. Your heart beats faster. Or you get in a frightening situation and you get that energy boost that just could lift you out of any possible situation. Adrenaline is a direct response to stress from the outside world. The adrenal glands in your body produce over 100 different hormones. These organs are no bigger than a walnut, and they sit right above the kidneys on either side. Now, hormones, the primary job of hormones are to keep your body from breaking down when you have stress. It's a great function to have. The problem that occurs when we have long-standing stress is the body goes into a high production in these hormones. Go back to the adrenaline. Let's say that you have a prolonged stressful time frame. Maybe you have something going on with the job. Maybe you have something going on with your kids, your spouse. There's a financial situation that's come up. And this thing lasts longer than a few days. We get into a few weeks, a few months, maybe even years of a problem persisting. And the body is cranking out these hormones at a high rate to keep us from breaking down. What we run up against is a production issue. If your body can't keep up the supply with the demand, you will have a crash and a fatigue, and symptoms will ensue. If you were to decrease that adrenaline production when you needed it, you're going to have fatigue, you're probably going to have some sleep problems, and likely you're going to have changes with blood pressure and other metabolic changes in the body. Weight changes can also be affected in this. The answer to this is really quite simple. If it's a matter of production and your body just does not have enough supply to produce those hormones, we would need to get the supplies back in. And those supplies consist of certain nutrients, certain vitamins and minerals to give the body something to build with. So if that's the cause, we provide that nutrition. Now, we can find this through different measures. With the physical component, we can find this through things like range of motion, checking the posture, looking at reflexes. We can see physical changes in the body that would represent when we have a physical problem in the body. When we have a hormone problem in the body, there are certain tests we can do as well. Most of you are probably familiar with blood tests. For instance, the blood test for thyroid. There are also blood tests for adrenal, just like there are blood tests for estrogen and progesterone problems. Those things, even though they are telling, they don't give the big picture on function. When we go back and look at functional changes in the body, it's important that we do stress type tests. For instance, we can check blood pressure in 2 or 3 positions and measure the response. That would give us a clear-cut indicator on how well the adrenal glands are functioning. We can also use things like body temperature as a way to measure thyroid function. These are far better in predicting whether or not we have an underlying condition with these organs that does need addressed. The third component that I find in this, though it may be a smaller portion in comparison to magnitude of the physical and of the hormonal type of problems, is more of a cellular functional issue. And as much as the cliche may be from a toxicity standpoint, the reality is our body does accumulate waste products. Call it what you will, toxicity, whatever it is, but as we get junk built up in the cells, it creates inflammation in the body. That inflammation leads to things like headaches. It can create hormone changes in the body. We can see sleep issues. We can see problems with blood pressure or cholesterol. It can also lead to weight changes, quite significant weight changes that are very resistant to loss. The way we repair that is to get those cells cleaned up. Though you'll see many things marketed out there from a cleansing standpoint, the only way to really cleanse the body is from nutritional feeding. You have to get the antioxidants into the body to cleanse those cells. Antioxidants, you may be familiar with the term, but not function of them. And the function of antioxidants is to act like a magnet, to actually go in and attract those harmful components out of the cell so the cell loses the inflammation and that resolves. So we do this through basically a bombardment of antioxidants, but we can measure it with pH. We know that if your body is at a certain pH, it's in a healthy state. And if it is not, it can be very detrimental to your health. A good example of this, there has been a multitude of research done showing that cancer cells can only live and thrive in an acidic setting. The more alkaline you get, the less probability of cancer cells reproducing or even living. At a certain alkalinity, cancer cells will even die. So this should give you some idea of the importance of these 3 items and how they function in your overall health.